Thank you for joining me. Today, we're going to discuss how to provide accessibility for challenging openings using specifically the Norton 5800 low energy power swing door operator. And then to begin, I just wanted to cover a few things about the American with Disabilities Act as it relates to operators. So ADA, as most of us know, is a civil rights law that prohibits discrimination against individuals with disabilities in all areas of public life, including jobs, school, transportation, all public and private places that are open to the general public. And specifically, as it relates to power operators, we focus on barrier removal. In this example, the actual door being the barrier, by providing equal or similar access through that door and into the various building spaces. Key is that we want to focus on using reasonable modifications, such as the addition of a power opener, as opposed to redesigning the building envelope, with low difficulty and expense to the building owner wherever possible. Okay, so per the ADA, low energy door operators can provide greater accessibility for openings used by the mobility challenged individuals. And these types of operators that I'm going to show you can be found in entrances to public buildings, including schools, libraries, museums, offices, and government buildings. The code that we follow is the ANSI A150 619, which is a power assist in low energy power operated door guideline. Requirements in this standard apply only to swing door operators, which is what we'll be talking about today. The operator types are power assist and low energy power operators for pedestrian use. It does not address the actual door, the finish, or hardware. Included are provisions intended to reduce the chance of user injury or entrapment. The products are intended to improve accessibility. Doors equipped with low energy operators can be manually used, or they can be activated by a knowing act device. For example, a push button, a wall switch, or a hands-free device, all of which I will show you. So typical, and when I say typical, the door size and the weight is going to affect this, but typically the operating criteria for a low energy door operation include the fact that it must operate slowly with minimal force upon impact or resistance. In other words, if someone were to get into the path of the door, minimal force would be applied to the individual. Must take at least 5 seconds to fully open. The door must stay open for a minimum of 5 seconds. It must take at least 5 seconds for the door to close. So we refer to that as the 5-5-5 rule. And again, it's typical, but pretty common if a door is set up that way. And then the methods or benefits of activation. Just to spend a moment on this, all doors in the for low energy operators can be opened manually, just as an ordinary door closer, or secondarily through the use of a knowing act. And by knowing act, again, a push button, a wall switch, or a hands-free device. I just wanted to take a moment here on this slide to describe the benefits of a hands-free activation, because it become very, very popular during this COVID health crisis for the reason of one, health. So when you wave your hand in front of this device, a near field disturbance activates the switch rather than a physical depression of the switch, which eliminates the transmission of germs from door hardware to hand. So one, there's a health benefit. Two, there's an ease of use, offers effortless means for moving throughout the facility. A simple wave of the hand can activate the door. Three, ADA compliance. We provide both an audible tone, a beep, and a red-green LED indicator ring, which you can see on your screen, which changes state. The ring draws attention to the fact that the switch is going to do something. And when activated, the color of the ring changes and you get the audible tone. So I feel often even more ADA beneficial than just a ordinary wall button or a touch button. And then a modern convenience of being recessed into the wall, and the product can be in a duplex outlet, a double or a single gang as depicted in your lower right-hand side of your screen, always recessed with a stainless steel plate that's weather resistant and easily cleaned. So all the benefits of a hands-free device. Secondarily, a method of activation worth mentioning on operators, including the one that we'll be digging down into today, is the ability to operate the unit wirelessly. So this Knowing Act device, again, can take the form of a RF, standing for radio frequency, wireless push button or wall switch, or even a handheld remote control. Typically, the batteries last 4 years or approximately 250,000 activations, and they're ideal for retrofit situations or applications where running a wire back to the operator is difficult, costly, or where the surface conduit to house the wire would be aesthetically unappealing to the end user. You may even control the door in front of you with a press of a button, handheld remote, as shown in the picture. This could be used to close your office door, keep people out for reasons of privacy or security. So those things said, kind of a brief introduction of ADA, the standard which regulates the use of the operator, and then a number of activation methods. Let's go ahead and drill down into the operator that I wanted to focus on today and its unique ability to work on these challenging openings. So introducing the Norton 5800 low energy door operator, specifically designed to meet the requirements of the Americans with Disabilities Act, ADA, while being fully compliant with the A15619 power assist low energy door standard. Additionally, the unit's UL10C fire rated for 90 minutes. This is a standard for positive pressure tests of door assemblies and is required to use the product on labeled doors. This test exposes the operator to standard fire exposure at specific temperature for 90 minutes, followed by the application of a standard fire hose stream. The 5800 acts like a door closer and mounts directly to the door. Its fully electromechanical design consists of a heavy-duty motor and gearbox to control the door and simulate the operation and feel of a hydraulic door closer. Compact in size with precise door control, the 5800 spring can be easily adjusted for 4 to 15 pounds of opening and closing, effectively making this a field adjustable size 2 to size 6 closer. Although compact in size, it's extremely robust with a 10 million tested cycle life. It's designed to control doors up to 250 pounds in weight, 48 inches in width, and even provides protection from high wind and abuse. To make the installation simple and potentially eliminate the need for an electrician, the device plugs into an ordinary 110 duplex outlet using a supplied 24-volt plug-in transformer, a wall transformer. And a patented auto-tune feature learns the door size and weight and automatically sets the door opening force, the hold open time, and the closing speed. That's what we talked about before. Remember the 5-second hold opening time, the 5-second hold open time and closing speed automatically makes the unit compliant to the ANSI A15619 code. And it's set up packaged wise to be a complete ADA door solution in one box. So everything needed to automate the door per the ADA low energy guidelines is included. The non-handed operator with the built-in RF receiver, the push and pull side mounting kit, so the operator can mount push or pull side, shock absorbing door arm, 2 different color covers to aesthetically make the unit match the hardware that's on the door, a hardwired kit, mounting hardware for virtually any door, and then the required ANSI automatic door signs, automatic caution door, the yellow and blue stickers. We offer the unit in 2 different size activation push buttons, the wall buttons, either the narrow or the square. And then it is optional with the wave to open switches that I had introduced earlier. All of them are heavy duty, stainless steel, weatherized, radio frequency, and they're pre-programmed to work with the operator. The RF is pre-linked at the factory. Adding, deleting, changing activation buttons is very easy. And the RF button is available to activate the unit from up to 65 feet away from the door. So the buttons can be mounted significantly at a significant distance, although typically they're mounted within 12 feet of the door. The door mounted design is something I wanted to call your attention to. If you note in these 4 pictures, the fact that the unit is door mounted allows it to uniquely solve accessibility problems for a series of challenging openings, which is really the focus of this presentation. So many of these require only reasonable modifications, as you can see, with low difficulty and at frequency less expense than a traditional overhead mounted operator. So keeping these images in mind, let's go ahead and look at some of these challenging openings. And these are some pictures that I have taken in my travels. So although not impossible, it can be quite difficult to automate a door with a deep reveal. All of these doors, you'll note, have a deep reveal circumstance. So in order to push the door open with an operator mounted overhead, a very long door arm may be required. So if you reference photograph A in the upper center of your screen, you'll notice the length of the door arm is quite lengthy. It's almost as long as like a broomstick would be. And sometimes you would need an output shaft extension in order to move the door arm downward enough to clear the door stop and the framework, as you'll note in picture D. If you were not using a door mounted operator, and if the operator were mounted overhead, you would have to extend the output shaft down probably about 8 inches to 10 inches in order to clear, so that the arm would not hit the reveal when the door was opening and closing. It's worth noting that ADA guidelines require specific maneuvering clearances for recessed doors. So if you look at photograph B, 18 inches of clearance would be required but not available for a wheelchair occupant to approach and manipulate the door hardware in order to gain access. So in this application, the door is clearly a barrier. Addition of a door mounted operator would easily bring this into compliance by allowing the push of the button or a wave to open the door and eliminate the barrier. So focus on that B. Picture C shows a deep reveal application with the inability to mount the unit pull side. Sometimes when there's obstructions, the installer will mount the operator on the opposing side of the door. But in this case, if you look carefully, the door actually sweeps up against the ceiling in photograph C. So you would be unable to mount the operator on the reverse side of the door. And in this case, the exit sign would have to be relocated in order to mount it in addition. So not only do you have the deep reveal, but you also have an obstruction. So special application number 1 in review is deep reveal. Special application 2, limited mounting structure. So in all 3 pictures, A, B, and C, a glass transom above the door opening only leaves a tubular frame available to mount the traditional overhead style operator. In most cases, some type of reinforcement or an angle bracket would be needed for secure attachment. So in picture A, there's an arrow that depicts a non-structural cover that conceals the existing hydraulic door closers and thus would not be a secure attachment point. So in picture A, this university, originally, these were non-automated doors. The traffic pattern changed. The end user needed these doors to be ADA compliant, wanted to add the operators, but that hydraulic closers that are mounted overhead don't provide any type, that's just a dress cover. There's no real mounting structure there to mount an operator to. But in this case, a door mounted operator, the stress is really placed on the corner of the door and not on that decorative cover. Okay. The 5800 only needs 2 inches of top rail for a secure attachment. So almost any commercial door and frame will accept the standard brackets. So even C is a medium style door. Door B, although hard to see because of the dark anodized colored frame, but it's a very narrow glass aluminum door. The operator's been designed to mount to that very thin rail. So something to keep in mind. So special application number 2, limited mounting structure. The next one, special application is either limited or no headroom. So doors that extend to the ceiling can only be automated by the following methods, right? There's an option to place the operator into the floor, which can be very difficult, costly in a retrofit applications, and note the challenges that would be presented to the installer if a floor operator was selected for door A. Not even talking about getting power to the operator, but all the tile work and jackhammer and cement work that would have to be done for door A. The second thing we could do maybe would be reduce to clear door opening as shown in picture D. So here the facility manager had no knowledge of a door mounted product, or maybe when this operator was installed, that product didn't exist yet. And so he reduced the opening size by mounting the operator in picture D. But clearly this is not something that we would suggest as a solution, and it may indeed be a code violation to place the operator there. Number 3 would be exampled in picture C, where the operator has been recessed into the ceiling. Certainly have to credit the installer with doing a nice clean installation, but the service on the unit may require removing the ceiling tiles that are replaced around the operator box. So not necessarily a bad installation, but certainly one that was challenging and may have some maintenance issues associated with it. Or B, the right-hand leaf, clearly a relatively straightforward door-mounted solution, standard brackets and fasteners that came with the Norton 5800 right out of the box. Easy to automate this door shown in B. The next one I wanted to discuss was decorative trim obstructions. So it's fairly common in retrofit applications to have some type of trim around the frame of the door. It just looks nice, and architects frequently specify it. If you're looking for an automation solution that will not dramatically change the opening appearance, then note the clean install shown in photograph C. You can imagine how an overhead mounted operator would change the look of openings A and B. So clean install C. All right, next, some examples of overhead obstructions. So an overhead mounted operator is going to conflict. A door mounted operator would complement and not conflict with something that's mounted overhead. We come across air curtains shown in opening A when automating retail occupancies that are selling food or fruit. The doors open and they trip a magnetic switch, turning on a curtain of air to keep flying pests outside. Again, they're mounted overhead, so an operator is not able to be integrated into this opening unless it is door mounted like the Norton 5800. Opening B would require an exit sign relocation to accommodate an overhead unit, a task that is typically performed by others and usually equals a callback. So in our trade, the installer of the operator is typically not able to relocate the exit sign. They don't have the appropriate training or electrical licensing to do that. And then on opening C, an example of just multiple obstructions that I was able to find. There's actually an exit sign, that overhead pathway lighting, that fluorescent lighting is actually in the way of a 6-inch box. It goes right up to the edge of the door. There's even a steam pipe over on one side. So, and there's also the deep reveal. So somewhat difficult modifications to make in C, very easily solved through the use of a door mounted operator. These are a little bit specialty, but nevertheless, arch top and narrow doors. Remember, ADA requires 32-inch minimum door opening for passage. Sometimes we come across pairs of doors that are 26 or 28, and they only meet the requirement if they're automated to open simultaneously as a pair. So this saves the customer money, since the operators often cost less than reframing the entire opening, or in the case of opening B, the archtop doors, there's the desire to maintain the original architectural look. So it was the architect wanted to preserve this during the retrofit. So in many cases, the operator enclosure is too large to fit side by side overhead, making the door mounted Norton 5800 the only effective solution. Also not pictured, but worth noting, we'll often come across an application where the leaves of the door are two different sizes. We may have a 48 and a 24, or a 36 and an 18. And the modification, the desirable modification or the requirement is to automate both doors to operate. They might have to get a gurney or equipment through the door, and they want both of them to open, but there's no way to fit the overhead mounted operator. The components of it are just, the width of it is too long to fit on the small leaf, making one of these operators applicable. It only requires 19 inches from the edge of the door arm over to the operator. So just a 19-inch, or call it a 20-inch leaf, if you will. Also, our specification writers come across this condition here. So the picture shows an exit door. It has no side clearance and would require a wheelchair occupant to hold the door handle and reverse the chair to open the door. So if you've ever tried this, this is not an easy task. So again, you would, in order to exit with no side clearance, you'd have to have an approach where you grab a hold of the hardware and then you back up or reverse. So, and the ADA guidelines tell us if this is an existing door and it's serving an accessible means of egress, and it does not have the maneuvering clearance, which this one clearly does not, then we could use an automatic operator to overcome that problem. So that's a solution. But the uniqueness here is that the operator would require standby power. So if there's a loss of power to the building, this operator would still have to function and allow the occupant to exit. Okay, so note the requirement again, standby power. So we can accomplish this a couple of different ways. We can connect the operator to the building UPS, the uninterruptible power supply circuit, which isn't always available and not always common and often hard to get to, or it can have a battery backup built in. So one of the things that's unique about this operator is it has an onboard battery pack that would power the unit 2,000 times in a row after loss of power to the opening, and we would meet the requirements of this section, which is 404 2.4. So not only does it meet the requirements, it could be just a nice advantage to have your automatic operator work in the event of a power failure to the building. There's not very many operators that have the ability to do that. It's not common to have backup power. This one comes with it standard. So something that's an advantage. Now, why does it do that? Well, there's a feature of this operator that can allow it to be used when there's no electrical power available. So there's going to be cases where getting power to the opening is going to be expensive or not practical. So there's a model where, as long as the traffic pattern allows for the following, we would need 80 cycles a day, 25% are automatic, 75% are manual. So again, I'm going to repeat that. So you have an application where you're going to have high traffic. I show a customer site here that was a gas station, convenience store, could be a bank, could be a library, could be McDonald's, Starbucks, Chick-fil-A, could be a roadside rest area. Think of an application that's going to get a lot of people coming and going throughout the day, a lot of traffic. And then the majority of the people are going to use that door manually. They're going to grab a hold of the door and they're just going to open it and they're going to walk through just like an ordinary door. And then there could be up to 25% of those people can touch the button on the wall. Let's say you've got a roadside rest area, and you get 1,000 people that go through the rest area over the course of the day. 250 people could press the button on the wall. The remainder of the people use the door as though it were an ordinary door, and you would need no electrical power connected to the operator. The motion of the door opening and closing would generate enough power, store it in its battery pack to never need to be recharged. Okay, so there's many tens of thousands of applications, many of which we have done that would fit that. So again, no electrical connection, no permit, no inspection, no wiring, no low voltage license, and it installs like a manual door closer in less than an hour. The wall buttons that activate the unit are radio frequency, and the button battery lasts for 250,000 activations or 4 years. They send the signal up to the operator. If there's applications, and they're going to be out there as well, that are going to require continuous automatic use, or if you cannot obtain or vet out the 25% 75 rule, then we do just have an ordinary 110 wall outlet that plugs in. If the door is used less than 80 times per day, you would plug in with the ordinary wall outlet. And if you want special features like push and go or power close, or if you have to connect to an electric lock or electric strike or a magnetic lock, then we power the unit. But it's a very unique opening, challenging opening, and just know that it exists out there where you can have a solution where you don't even have to run wire to the operator at all. Next one, challenging or special application could be where sustainability rating is desired on the project. So you may consult on a project where energy savings is a primary focus. Something to consider, this unit is Green Circle certified to be very energy efficient. The battery operated version that I just got through talking about would be 100% energy efficient because it doesn't connect to electrical power at all. And the plugged in version, that was all the subsequent slides that we talked about, all the previous slides before that, battery operated version that plug into an outlet and are hardwired. It's 91% more energy efficient than typical automatic operators out there on the market. So, well, what does that mean? The typical savings would be about $25 annually per year. So if every operator sold in a year's time used zero energy, there would be a substantial savings out there. So on these types of projects, keep in mind that an operator is of this type could be a differentiator. Most applications that we discussed up to this point are push-pull doors without latching or locking hardware. Some of those applications may have a lock, which is only used during non-business hours. And that type of lock hardware, a swing bolt, would not need any interface to the operator at all. As a side note, if there was a lock door and the push button was depressed, absolutely no damage would occur to the unit. We do have this module that allows you to interface to other components. You can connect it to wired or wireless push buttons, an electric lock, a fire panel, access control, outside push button. It's small in size and it's designed to fit inside a power supply cabinet using a mounting plate with special fasteners. Okay, so in a review, the Norton 5800 low energy power operator can provide accessibility for challenging openings using reasonable modifications with low difficulty and expense to the building owner. The applications include deep reveal, limited mounting structure, limited or no headroom, decorative trim obstructions, overhead obstructions, arch top or narrow doors, accessible routes, no electrical power situations, or where you might have to obtain a sustainability rating. So for more information, you can visit our website at nortondoorcontrols.com.
Yeah, thank you, Jay. Before we open it up to questions, I just wanted to mention a few things in these last slides. One is our customer support app. So if you're not aware, ASSA ABLOY has a customer support app that's available on your iTunes App Store and the Google Play App Store, completely free for you guys. This is how you get a hold of tech support and customer support directly through your phone. You can actually, if you're working on one of these operators, if you're using your phone, you can live stream something you're working on with a tech rep, and you can communicate very, very easily with them. So, you know, if I'm calling it a doohickey and Jay's calling it a thingamabob, we can get on the same page and make sure that we're communicating effectively and you get all of the tech support help that you need. Also, it has a library, access to library for all of your installation sheets, your cut sheets, your sell sheets, your list price books, and many, many more things. And this goes for all of the brands available with ASSA ABLOY here in North America. So check that out, download that. I use it a lot, especially as a trainer. I have to get a hold of the factory as well, especially when we come out with new products. So I use it to get a hold of people as well. Jay, next slide. Also, if you're using a desktop computer or a laptop or something like that, and you're going through the website, you can access that same information that you can get to on the customer support app through the ASSA ABLOY Resource Center. From the Resource Center, and you can go to that ASSA ABLOY DSS, Door Sierra Sierra or Delta Sierra Sierra.com. Click at the top Resource Center. I think it's the third tab over or something like that. From there, you can click on Collateral Materials, select the brand that you're trying to get to. That will take you to your digital library. It'll take you to the brand websites where you can get all of the information on the products, the technical information, how to order, all of that information from the ASSA ABLOY Resource Center. And then Built is a third-party app that we have put our 3D CAD drawings and our installation instructions for various products, including the ADAEZ, the 5800 ADAEZ, for both a push and pull application. So we've made it basically foolproof. It's already easy to install, but this allows you to see 3D interactive how-to guide of getting this operator installed and set up all there on your phone or your tablet. So check out Built. It's called Built Intelligent Instructions if you're going to be searching for it, or you can just search BILT and find that. It's not owned by ASSA ABLOY, but you can search Norton when you get into the app, and it'll show you all of the Norton products that are available there. Also, our instructor, Katie Flower, created this ASSA ABLOY Egress calculator years ago, and last year it was officially put into a very easy to use app. With this app, you can calculate occupant loads, egress widths, quantity of exits for your project, swing direction of doors if you want to make sure that you stay in code compliance. And once you do that, you can download input and output data using PDF. So it's a fantastic tool. You can find recorded sessions by Katie on how to use this tool on our website, assabloyacademy.com, and go to previously recorded webinars, and you can find ASSA ABLOY Egress calculator on there if you'd like to know how to use it. You can get to the calculator at that www.egresscalc.assabloy.com. And it's totally free for you guys to use using single sign-on, connect, or even a guest login. And with that, I want to thank Jay so much for delivering this education today. We're going to open it up to questions. We're going to be here and available to answer those for a few minutes. And yeah, thank you. Thanks again, Jay, for an awesome presentation. And we'll stick around for a few minutes.